times were good. Life was good. There were plenty of grapes on the vine, which means there's plenty of wine in the community. And as far as ancient Israel was concerned, a lot of wine meant that God had blessed the land. Things were abundant food, abundant grapes, abundant everything. Everything could be extravagant. Worship services were extravagant. Getting together was extravagant. The people would come together and they would praise God with their best voices, with their best music, just lifting up praise to the one true God, Yahweh. And they would lay before Yahweh these burnt offerings. They would lay out these extravagant offerings, just trying to show God that they loved Him. Things were so good that when Amos showed up on scene, when a prophet showed up on scene, Israel didn't get initially scared. Instead, they were like, oh man, what does Amos have to say? And Amos comes with this judgment for Israel's enemies. And of course, that causes everyone to start celebrating again. Life is so good that God's dealing with our enemies here and now. And He comes with this judgment towards them. And these enemies that are furthest from Israel, Amos has a judgment for them. God has a judgment for them. And of course, Israel celebrates. And then Amos moves in a little closer to Israel. He moves to the enemies that are bordering Israel's lands. And Amos pronounces a judgment on them that's 10 times worse than the judgment he had for the enemies that were further out. And of course, Israel is just celebrating this. Life is so, so good. But like any good prophet, Amos turns the table, and all of a sudden he starts giving Israel this judgment, and everyone, of course, is kind of like, hold up. Amos has this judgment for Israel. Israel, God's not pleased with your music or your sacrifices or your extravagant feasts. Your music to Him, your voices to Him, lifting up praise to Him is just noise in His ear. Ouch. And laying these sacrifices before Him, laying these burnt offerings before Him, it's just like smelling rotten food. Ouch. See, Israel had made a mistake, and it's a mistake we still make today. Israel were praising God with their voices, lifting up songs to God with the best music that they had, while at the same time not speaking up for those who needed to be spoken up for, those who didn't have a voice. Israel wasn't providing a voice for them. In burnt offerings, they were laying all these burnt offerings on the altar, laying all this food on the altar, while people just in their own community, right there amongst them, were starving. And of course, God is like, I'm not going to have that. That doesn't please me. Your voices don't please me. Your sacrifices don't please me. There are people suffering in your community right now, and you're not doing anything about it. So He sends Amos to pronounce this judgment on them. And essentially, God's going to withdraw His protection from Israel. And they're going to be almost completely wiped out simply because they won't protect those weakest among them, those without a voice, those who just need someone to speak up for them, those who need someone to help take care of them. They weren't doing those simple things. God wasn't going to do the simple thing of just placing His hand of protection over them. So what's that mean for us today? Like, what does that mean for our own lives? How can we take that and how can we use that in our own lives? What's the challenge? What's the encouraging part of all that? Because it kind of sounds a little scary. Here's the challenge. Here's the thing you need to be doing, that I need to be doing, that we all need to be doing. You can't love God without loving people. You fully show God that you love Him by loving people. That's just a part of it. That's who Jesus was. That's what He came to do. He showed the Father that He loved Him by, one, taking the gospel out, which was a part of just helping people, healing the sick, bring them present, showing people a new way of life. We got to be about that same business. We got to be doing that same thing, taking care of those who are hungry, taking care of those who don't have a voice, speaking up for those who don't have a voice. That's our real worship. The widow and the orphan, taking care of them. That's religion undefiled, right? That's what we hear in the New Testament. So my challenge to you is to elevate your thinking, to change your thinking. That's going to be my challenge as well. My challenge for myself is going to be, I can't fully love my Father in heaven without loving those that He's put around me, especially the least of these. I'm going to try to speak up for those who don't have a voice and try to help those who can't help themselves. And that's my challenge for you too. I hope you'll take that seriously and you'll make that a part of your life. That's what sets us apart. We're supposed to be people of radical love. I love you guys. See you next week. Peace.